Greetings and welcome back, everyone. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and this is Into the Nexus, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. I am joined, as I always am, by Kyle Ferguson. Kyle, welcome back.
Thank you.
It's a
pleasure to be here again.
It's a big week.
It is. It is beta week. We're out of alpha, which, oh my goodness, lasts forever. Is this going to be a normal beta? I mean, are we looking at like 6 months from now?
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, maybe. Does it matter? Really, the point that the point that matters is when beta goes open.
Yes.
Right
now it is closed.
That's the next big milestone. Once everyone that wants to play this game can play this game, I don't care about a proper release date.
Sure, it's a little lackluster. Just kind of happens in the background when we have enough heroes that people can't say, "Aren't you launching with too few heroes?"
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what happened with Hearthstone. I mean, we were in beta for a while, and they had the one and only account wipe months before the game properly launched. And when it did properly launch, it was an open beta, and there were going to be no more wipes. And when it did launch, it was just like, oh, hey, well, nothing has changed at all. But good to know, Hearthstone's officially out. And that's
Cardbacks came in.
Yeah, and we had like ranked play shortly after and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, Tuesday was just the same as the Monday before.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm assuming Heroes is going to be like. We're going to hit open beta, and that will be the point that I think for a lot of us players, the game will effectively be live.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, anywho, we have a lot to talk about, so we're not going to tell you about how our butt itched on the bus this week at the top of the show. We're going to get right into it.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Click the play button, and let's get started.
So, closed beta has officially begun, and last week, if you listen to the words that came out of my mouth, it probably seemed a little cynical because I was like, oh, what's the big deal? It's not that exciting. Nothing's going to change. I was really wrong.
Yes, you really can't predict the idea of suddenly this floodgate opening for the people who have played a hell of a lot to suddenly leave the general pool and what that'll happen or what that'll lead to in that pool of people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. Now, I never got any like concrete word on if there was a huge wave of invites when closed beta started this past Tuesday. Did you see anything?
Everything I saw was very standard. Okay. People got in. Some people had problems installing. Some people had to reinstall. It was the usual thing. So there wasn't any sort of closed beta, here comes that Facebook contest, or any of that friend sharing things that we've heard about in the past. Just another Tuesday. Yeah,
more or less. But a lot of stuff has come. We got a massive patch. I think this is the biggest patch we've had since Tech Alpha started.
Yeah, I'm certainly happy with it. They've made a lot of changes, graphical changes in the backgrounds too. The wells now shoot up out of the well and into your face to heal you. It's a complete waste of developer time, but I love it.
Oh yeah, it looks great. It's a gorgeous little effect. There's so much little polish and cleanup and trimming here and there. The game is more and more looking like a finished product. And I'm actually trying really hard not to jump the gun and go straight into talking about how awesome the draft feature is, but we'll get into that a bit. Except for the fact that I always go second, my team always goes second, and I'm always last. So screw you, draft feature. I don't care how shiny and awesome you are.
Opinion saved for later in the show.
Anywho, I mean, right off the top, versus mode has been changed name. It's now quick match because the whole draft system in Hero League exists now. The other
take some pressure off it.
Yeah, the other kind of big overarching change, and this is great, I think, with the influx of new players that we've had, is that all daily quests can now be completed in practice mode.
Yeah, something they turned off for a while, and now is back when we have, multiple avenues to choose from. It makes sense. Why stop people who are going to put in the time from gaining the gold for things they want? Yeah.
So that's good, and that's great, and that brings us right into the first big bit of news, which is a new hero. We have Thrall, War Chief of the Horde, as our latest comer to the Nexus. Have you had a chance to take Thrall out for a spin, Kyle?
I've seen him spinning liberally in my direction.
You're damn right you have. I don't think I have seen a single game this entire week without a Thrall in it.
No, and it's not apologetic either. Like, Jaina was kind of this like, hey guys, I called Jaina, and everyone's like, Jaina. Damn it, opening weeks of new heroes. But this is just kind of like, suddenly everyone's playing Thrall. They're great at him. I was chased by LZ Gamer for a lengthy time last night.
Oh, okay.
Thrall.
All right, so you had a brush with some pro players. I had a couple. I got into a game with Solid Jake from Town Hall today.
Oh, nice.
We were on the same team and we won. It was nice. I got to heal him. I think he was playing Stitches. I was running around.
Good thing I wasn't in that game. I was playing Diablo.
Yeah.
I would have gotten some tells from that show.
Some judgment. Yeah. You know what? Your Diablo is so good. I don't give a crap. I think you make up for it.
Oh, thank you.
But man, if some of the games I had today, I played with some friends, and one of the guys I was playing with played Abathur, and the amount of seething rage that Abathur inspired from one of our other random pickup teammates was notable.
Because he's changed?
No, just because the person's like, "Oh, Abathur sucks. We're gonna lose," and then we started losing. So
it does kind of seem like a fact right now.
Yeah, he's hard to play.
Yeah, but Thrall.
Very hard to play.
So Thrall, sweet kit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, melee assassin.
Yeah. I've played a lot of Thrall. He very quickly, because I may have bought a stim pack this week. More on that later. I've already caught him up to all of like my most played heroes, Brightwing and Arthas. He's like right up there with them in level. So played a lot of Thrall this week. Really digging him. He is so he's insanely strong. He's really high damage, and his damn trait, Frostwolf Resilience, just heals him every 5 ability hits. It's just bam, heal. Here you go. So
I guess one of the base problems with most assassins that they either have no mana after they do a combo, or they just can't heal themselves, so they're very burst, tons of mana reserves in the background.
Yep.
But once they get hit once or twice, they gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go down the line here. So his Q ability, this is the thing you're going to be using all the time, Chain Lightning. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a ranged ability on a melee hero, which is wonderful. And it hits one target, and then it jumps to 2 more targets that are close to the initial target, which is it's good. It does decent damage. Wonderful for that very early laning phase, just clearing out creeps. But man, Thrall like just punishes teams for grouping up, because it's just like with his one of his heroic abilities, we'll talk about in a second, and with this and also Feral Spirit, the next ability we're going to talk about, it just sucks if your team gets into a choke point and there's a Thrall on the other team. It hurts.
Yeah, luckily a lot of people don't quite understand him yet. It's kind of, Illidan's been in the game so long, so there's a lot of examples to look at, but Thrall, you're a shark, and you just keep the bloodlust in your eyes, moving forward, assume someone's going to heal you as long as you're with the group, and do damage for as long as you can, because you're going to heal yourself, and they're really big heals, and the cooldown on Chain Lightning is 6 seconds. Your other abilities, 12 seconds, like they are, your bread and butter, but this thing, just every time it's on cooldown, and it's rough.
Yeah, it's good. Feral Spirit, his W ability, it just shoots a Spirit Wolf. Well, it's kind of a flaming Spirit Wolf in a straight line in whatever direction you're aiming it, and it actually roots any hero it hits for 1 second.
And it's a line effect, so you can hit things along the path and then hit the very first hero you come in contact with. So you don't really need to be sneaky about it at all. A huge lane of minions. You don't have to stitches and worry about grabbing something wrong. You just poof right through it.
Yeah, and this I want to talk about this and immediately move on to Wind Fury, because I want to talk about these two together. Wind Fury is his E ability, and when you pop it, it kind of buffs you. And what it does is you hit it, and then for the next 4 seconds, your movement speed has been increased by 25%, and your next 3 basic attacks occur 100% faster. And there's actually a slightly different animation for the basic attacks when you have Wind Fury have that buff on you, because he does like a 3-hit combo really quick, and the last one's kind of like an overhead smash. So it's very noticeable. And so you've got, say you've never tried Thrall at all. Just look at these two abilities, Kyle. The first thing that came into my mind was, oh, I'm gonna root people with Feral Spirit, then I'm gonna boost up and start body blocking them while smashing their teeth in with Wind Fury, and it's beautiful.
And it's your basic attack. So having not looked at the talents, my first thought is I'm going to take everything that augments my basic attack. Yep. This is how I kill things.
Yeah, and actually it turns out that's more or less the popular Thrall build at the moment, which is like an all Wind Fury augmentation build. Let's talk about the next couple of talents, or next couple of abilities, and then we'll get into talents, and I want to talk about this Wind Fury build real quick before we move on, because we don't have a proper strategy segment today, because we have so much to talk about, but I do just want to give a quick mention to this Wind Fury build. Anyway, let's talk about his trait, which we kind of talked about. It's Frostwolf Resilience, and basically what it does is dealing damage with abilities grants 1 stack of Frostwolf Resilience, and in the bottom left-hand corner, there's actually a little circle for Thrall, and it fills up, a fifth of a piece of a pie every single time you do damage with an ability. And when it hits 5 at 5 stacks, you're instantly healed, and it's wonderful. And the thing that I didn't think worked with it was the 3 basic attacks that occur 100% faster with Wind Fury, but it does. Those three basic attacks from Wind Fury actually count. So if you hit that's 3 pieces. That's 3 stacks of Frostwolf Resilience right there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so dealing damage with abilities. I just suspected casting. So does that mean Chain Lightning gives you 3 stacks?
I believe if it hits 3 targets, and Feral Spirit, since it doesn't stop at the first target it hits, it'll actually continue traveling for its entire distance. Will give you a stack for every target it hits.
Right, so if I line up nice and sideways and just line down the minions, I'm getting a heal in there.
Absolutely. It's beautiful. It's a thing of total and utter beauty. Thrall is very self-sufficient. He does not have a ton of health, but if you haven't had the chance to fight him yet, I was very confused the first time I faced off against an enemy Thrall, because he just got in my face and refused to leave, and I'm like, your healer's nowhere. What are you doing? And it kind of felt like those early days of when Kerrigan's what is it, Assimilation Barrier? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Whenever she does damage, she gets the shield around her.
I mean, she still has it, but in the early days of the tech alpha, it was so powerful. Like she would just keep fighting and fighting to keep that shield up, and Thrall just stays in the fight to keep that heal rolling. And it's just kind of he's a force to be reckoned with. It's awesome. I love his kit. The way he feels is just so powerful.
I'd say the most surprising thing about him is Wind Fury having movement speed, because to balance a assassin, my assumption would be no mana, no health, or no ability to close or get away. And he's sporting 3 of these. The only thing he can't do is get away.
Actually, you can use Wind Fury to run away while using Feral Spirit to root your pursuers. So he can get away.
But I'm talking like a teleport or a Vala leap or something along these lines.
Right.
You are animation-wise, just walking out. I mean, ETC walks out of everything. It's as frustrating as hell. And he does his little dash. And that gives him that extra boost. Here, it's just, you almost have to kite him is the initial thought. But then he has the movement speed. So it's a little unknown how to stop him other than polymorph, which is why Brightwing has just been everywhere this week.
Polymorph or any kind of stun. I mean, if you're stunning him, he's not getting these stacks. And if you polymorph him, he can't use abilities. Brightwing and Uther are really, really good counters to Thrall at the moment. And if you're playing... if you're playing Heroes League, I would be very surprised if you saw a game without either of those 2 supports, just because, Thrall aside, those seem to be the 2 strongest supports. I mean, Uther's been popular since day 1, and Brightwing's just nuts.
Oh man, Jim Bob in the chat makes the point that his level 20 talent can be Bolt of the Storm.
Yes.
For a short range teleport.
Yep. Yeah. Thrall's got everything you could ever want. He feels a little strong. I mean, that being said, I've played plenty of games against teams that had Thralls and won. You just got to kind of know how to deal with them.
Sure. Well, there are some heroes, like I'd say Vala, not really. But I can think of a hero that's not this, and that's Zagara 100%. Has a wonderful kit. just like Thrall, but ults are a little weird. The Sundering, awesome, tons of damage, but if it doesn't kill, you're probably going to mess up the kill for the rest of your team at this stage of the game. And I think everyone's kind of wondering what we do with Earthquake.
Well, Sunderings, I really enjoy Sundering. I mean, it creates a very short wall that you can't run through, and if you're actually hit by the Sundering itself, you're stunned for 1.5 seconds. So he's an assassin that has a pretty decent initiate, which is
true,
which is fine. And that 1.5 stun or 1.5 second stun is more than ample time, providing you're close enough to just pop, Wind Fury, run in there and beat the crap out of whoever's stunned.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that in the future when people can aim it. For now, it's more like Rainer's push, and I've been saved multiple times by a poor Sundering.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, I haven't noticed that it's really that, because it doesn't really push you back. It pushes you sideways, so like up or down.
Right, but think the lanes all kind of do that half curve, and the majority of stuns come at me while I'm, trying to run back into my wall, into my fort, and then it pushes me further onto my side.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's really cool when you kind of angle it and you kind of try and pin someone against a wall, so you get it where there's just enough space between the Sunder crack and the wall where they barely move. They're just kind of locked in there.
Have you taken Earthquake yet?
No, I haven't. I've seen it. I've played against multiple Thralls that have used it, and it's definitely more situational. I was talking to our buddy D-Day earlier, and he said at the moment it's definitely the talent. If you're going to take it at all, you want to take it when you're able to talk to your whole team and you're able to coordinate very well. Because what it's really good for is like getting a surround on somebody. You pop this, they are barely moving. They're Earthquake. What it does, it summons an Earthquake, but it's a massive circular area, and any enemy stuck in that moves 70% slower. So they're not going anywhere, and it's a 10-second effect.
And not a channeling spell.
No, you just hit it, and it's just, hey, this area is the no escape zone.
Whew. All right, well, I think that's the obvious choice if you have enough stuns on your team already.
Right.
But until such time, Sundering 100%.
Yeah, I've played with Sundering all week. That's the only heroic I've been using. But anywho.
So you want to talk about some talents in here. We have some usuals like the blocks, and even gave an Envenom, which gross.
Yeah, he's got a block at level 1, he's got Envenom at level 4. But the build I've been running, and feel free, guys, if you've figured out a build that you really like for Thrall, email them in, itncast@gmail.com. But the build I've been running is at level 1. And again, this is just pretty much, if it augments Wind Fury, I take it. Wind Shear is what I take at level 1, and that reduces the cooldown of Wind Fury by 3 seconds, so you're popping it that much more often. But the one I really like is the level 4 talent, Mana Tide, which we already talked about. Frostwolf Resilience, which is his combat trait, and it gives you health every 5 times you deal damage with an ability. Well, this grants you mana back as well if you take Mana Tide at level 4. So every 5 times you deal damage with an ability, you get a chunk of health and mana back. So you just become this kind of self-sustaining murder machine. And it's delightful.
Daribo in the chat makes a great point about the ability Executioner, which doesn't get used very much, but you do bonus damage against any character that's stunned or slowed. Now you pack a team with Tychus, Vala, and Hammer and get on an Earthquake. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And there's really no good way to sustain stuns and slows, and this is our first long lasting one.
Yeah, 10 seconds. You get really good placement on this, and it's going to be it's a kill zone is what it becomes if we're running an Executioner team. I haven't seen that happen yet, but that's interesting. Maybe we'll try and do that. So,
well, lots of people are yelling about, overpowered and, nerf him right now and these sorts of things. Mm-hmm. I think people are going to find a fine way to just stun him up, pay attention to him.
So, moving on, level 7 talents, you got Follow Through, you got Battle Momentum, you have Stone Wolves and Frostwolf's Grace. I want to talk about Battle Momentum for a second because it also works into the Wind Fury build, because what Battle Momentum does is any basic attack you land reduces your ability cooldowns by half a second. And
this is on a lot of different heroes, but this on Thrall is a little shocking.
yes, yeah, and yes, it works with Wind Fury. Your 3 hits from Wind Fury count as basic attacks, so your 3 hits from Wind Fury very rapidly take off 1.5 seconds from all of your cooldowns.
Good.
Yeah. So that's gross. And the other interesting thing is moving down to the level 16 talents is Tempest Fury, which on your final strike of Wind Fury, it actually hits for 3 hits. So it's 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hits. So you actually get 5 like basic attack damage hits within a very short span. It does take the damage down by 25%. Those final 3 hits only do 75%.
Oh, no.
Normal damage, but it's such a huge spike of damage. It's absurd.
Such sacrifice for our powers.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And then the 20 abilities are fun. Bolt of the Storm, it's just absurd. As if you didn't have enough trouble dying already, even easier to live and escape from things. I love World Breaker though, man. With Sunder, it's just the Sunder goes across the whole map. It's insane.
It's you're just kind of riding along, and all of a sudden Cataclysm rolls by, and you go, "Oh, what was that?"
Yep. Yeah,
Get unseated a little bit, half your health gone.
Yep. So, anyways, have fun with that. I'm really anxious to hear from our listeners, see what builds they're rolling with Thrall at the moment. But oh man, at the moment it's all Wind Fury all the time for me. I love it.
Seems the right way to do it until otherwise noted.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. So. Anyways, that's Thrall for now. Go out there, have some fun with him. Let's move on to the next topic, which is, of course, the new Battleground Sky Temple. Which, oh man, dude, I just want to go like on vacation and just stay here because I love this Battleground so much.
It's very video gamey, and I like that.
It is. It's just like, hey, you guys like BioShock Infinite? Okay, what about Uldum from World of Warcraft? Well, let's just smash them together. There you go.
Or like the Banjo-Kazooie Nintendo level of history. Like, yeah, the Egyptian probably wasn't anything like this, but whatever, who cares? Like, we have these established thoughts in our head. Let's go to Pandaria. There's our Chinese architecture, and here's the Egyptian map.
Yep, absolutely. Ben, our buddy from Maybe Brady, we were joking about how Blizzard's idea of Egypt seems to be the same throughout every single one of their games.
Yeah.
Like
why not?
Uldum looks the same as Sky Temple, looks the same as the Egyptian map from Overwatch that we saw at BlizzCon.
Just get some obelisks, some sand.
Mm-hmm. And you're good to go.
A little sad there's not a Harrison Jones hidden on this map yet, but I'm still holding for him to be a hero.
Are you sure? Are you sure? I haven't checked every corner of this map. He could be there.
That's true. I'm relying heavily on Reddit for that statement. I'd assume they'd be excited.
Yeah, they probably would have found it by now. He's probably not there, but anywho. Yeah, Sky Temple's a really fun map. If you haven't had a chance to play it, it is another 3-lane battleground, so a little more on the traditional end of existing MOBAs.
More than that, it's big.
Yeah, it's got some nice size on it. There are so many nooks and crannies to hide in on this map. Have you seen all the little? There's like tons of little like enough for one hero. It's just a little alcove behind a bush, and in there it's like a couple Egyptians and a hookah.
Well, and anything with some dark green on it is a bush you can hide in. So this is honestly definitely our squirreliest map. The middle lane that the creeps actually meet in is microscopic. You put an Azmodan in there, everyone's getting body blocked.
That's a really good point.
The walls can practically shoot each other at that distance. The thing that's really making it long, though, are those shrines that are, at the very top, at the very bottom, and then the one in the middle that's just kind of expanded the whole thing out. So ganking on this map isn't really a big deal at the moment, nor is being to help anyone in a lane.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there hasn't been a strategy that's really risen to the top that I've noticed.
We played this game for a bit, so objectives are good, and let's run at them.
Well, that's what it is. At the moment, everyone you just need to go to they're called temples, not shrines. I keep calling them shrines too. You need to go to the temples when they activate. There's a temple at the top, middle, and bottom. So there's 3 temples. They activate at random intervals and in random groupings. Sometimes it'll be just 1, sometimes it'll be 2, and sometimes they'll be near each other, sometimes they won't. So it definitely takes some team coordination. Pings help if you're, a lot of new folks to the game. Ping your little heart out. If you hold down Alt and you click, you get a little radial dial, and it could be like, on my way, danger, defend here, etc. Use them. And also pay attention to the mini-map for other people's pings. Because this type of map, it really helps. So if I know if, like, hey, there's already 3 people on their way to this shrine, I guess I'll go with this, the one straggler, and the 2 of us will go to the other shrine and see what we can do.
Temple.
Sorry. Yeah, see what I'm doing? I've been calling them shrines all week. I'm just like, yeah, shrines, get the Dragon Knight.
Well, and it's very unique. So when you hold the shrine as a team for your team, you then unlock a laser beam that starts attacking the other side's buildings. And so it's kind of Blackheart's Bay without the coins. I mean, the damage is, over the course of it, about equal to a nice long siege.
Yeah. Yeah, the first set of temples, if you control it for the whole time, it's not enough to take out a fort entirely, but it'll take out the wall and both cannons, I believe, and do a little bit of damage through to the town hall. But yeah, it's and the other thing that's really important to note is that what you have to do is you have to go stand in this relatively large circle to activate it, and then it'll turn red or blue depending on what team has it. But then there's these 5 guardian statues in a semicircle around the top of the temple, and they will activate and try and kick your ass.
And they don't do that much damage, but if you are, anything that's like real squishy, it's going to be later in the game that you'll be able to solo those. As Jaina, I was having a lot of problem taking these on before level 10. After that, Water Elemental, all my crits, my huge slamming blizzards, those were all powerful enough that I could honestly take this by myself.
Yeah, I think it's at a good place because obviously the opposing team is going to be fighting you while you're also fighting these. So if you're the first one to the temple, you're going to be the first one fighting the Guardians, and when your opponents show up, things get hairy. So if these Guardians were doing a lot of damage, it would really deter folks from being aggressive and trying to take the temple first.
Right.
Which isn't to say they won't change targets. So like if you go in and you successfully kind of push out whoever was there before, they'll start attacking you. But yeah, it can get real hairy real quick, especially on the top or bottom ones. The middle one, there's a little more wiggle room to escape. But the top and bottom ones are right on the edge of the top and the bottom, so there's only really one way in or out.
Yeah, to the sides, you kind of have to get stuck in that arena, and if they're going to wall you off in there, you might be stuck. Yeah, it's a sweet map, and I'm looking forward to figuring out more. It's real refreshing to see all the new mercs, the new lane minions that can be done.
Yeah, they've done, from an art aspect, just from like how they've kind of styled the whole thing, they've really leveled up with Sky Temple, the folks on the Heroes team, because your bruisers, aka knights, look completely different. They look like people that would exist in this world, and the same thing goes for your siege giants. And there is no grave golem. It's this huge kind of scorpion beast, and it has the big radial smash that the golem has, but instead of the vines that happen at range, it's these tornadoes. And when they hit you, they move you around very aggressively. So you have to actually be careful with these damn tornadoes, because I've been pushed like outside my wall before as the enemy team is pushing, and it's scary. You have to be really, really on your toes playing Sky Temple. I enjoy it a lot.
It incorporates a lot of old WoW skills. Even the Temple Guardians have little circles they lay down before they slam with their attacks.
Yep.
So it's cool to see all the sort of different departments mingling into this one game.
Yep, absolutely. It's really great. I'm excited, and I've actually been seeing it as opposed to when Garden of Terror was added, and we got it like once all week.
It took some finagling to get. I think we even did some custom games so we could just get the damn in there.
Yes, it's very true. Although I'm not sure, were custom games even a thing then? I don't think they were. I don't think we had that
I guess
option.
back then they did take them right away, didn't they?
Yeah. So, anywho's, moving on. I think it's time to talk about Hero League and subsequently Draft Mode, which is what you use when you play in Hero League. So this is the new ranked ladder system that we've been waiting for. We have a ladder, and we've had a ladder in StarCraft 2 since the beginning. We got one very early on into Hearthstone. And actually, this is definitely more analogous to Hearthstone, I think.
Yeah, completely.
Than it is StarCraft. It's kind of a combination of the two. Because StarCraft, you kind of have this incremental, like you're kind of filling up your points. Whereas in Hearthstone, it's you win a game, you move up a star. You lose a game, you move down a star. And this one's kind of in between. You start at rank 50 and you work your way up to rank 1. But it's a bar that you fill up, much like, XP for a hero or your account level.
Well, and one thing before we go into this, currently there are no stats at the end of the game. And it doesn't even show how much gold you get from winning the game or any quest you completed. So this is very much a stand-in system, at least graphically. Currently, when you win a game, you get 200 points. When you lose a game, you lose 67 points. So really, it's kind of just a grind right now. And it's in this odd place. Hearthstone, one-on-one, you win or lose, that guy's at that level. It's kind of obvious that he should smack you on the head down. I'm a little surprised to not see the StarCraft mode where it's just some random number and some 32. Oh, I lost 32 points because they were really high above us and all the math added together and we were at this score and they were at that score and my loss gave me this. It's just static right now.
Yeah, I was. Are you kind of thinking maybe the amount of XP you win or lose should also be a little more personalized? It's like, well, you guys lost, but you out-healed their support to hell and back, so you don't lose as many points. Or
that's the hard thing about it.
That's the thing. Like, if I get in there with two guys that are playing with blindfolds on, and I'm playing my heart out, why am I losing the same amount of points as those two other dudes?
And I feel like a good amount of that can just be hidden in crazy MMR numbers that we can't really understand and are a constant mystery to us. Not the bad. Like, I really want definable ranks that I can really get into. I love the Hearthstone system with the stars, particularly, the on a roll stars too, because that means I, excel that much quicker. Here, there is no on a roll system yet. So winning a lot,
you mean
200 points.
Win streak. It sounds like you're saying honor roll. But
I see what you're saying.
Kyle's mentioning the win streak for those who aren't picking up on his terminology.
On my casual terminology, my rank 12 terminology.
In Hearthstone, it's called a win streak, Kyle.
I'm trying hard, man.
But yeah, it's I like it, but I kind of agree with you. I feel like it needs a little bit more robust features. That being said, I'm also just trying to, we got a bunch of new stuff. I'm trying not to be the gimme more guy.
Sure, absolutely. Just pointing that out initially before we get into one of the bigger deals of Hero League, and that is its cutoff system, and that you must have played X amount to get into Hero League.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much I want to talk about this because, man, I was bitching up a storm this week.
You took it very personally.
I was not happy. I was not happy about it at all. So, over the last 33 episodes, we talked a lot about the business model of heroes and the way it works. You have to buy each hero either with money or gold and yada, yada, yada. And you fill out your stable of heroes over time as opposed to having all heroes available like some other MOBAs do. So when we heard that Hero League was coming and it was going to utilize a draft system, we had a lot of questions, and now it's here. So now we know how it works. And there's a lot of barriers to entry to Hero League. We have our account-wide level, which you start at level 1 and you can max out at level 40. You need to be an account level of 30 or higher to get into Hero League. And usually I am the first guy, Kyle, and I hope you will back me up on this, to be like, hell yeah. Yeah, I don't want noobs in my games. Let's make sure they know what they're doing.
Let's put a gate. There's a little code you got to put in. There's a dude who has to check you in. Yeah, you want all the special treatment you can.
But 10 levels shy of a maxed account seems a little much.
I honestly have no perception of what I've done. It just kind of happened about 2 months ago. I was suddenly at level 40. So when this came around, it was more that I was lacking the 3 extra heroes I needed to make a full set of 10.
Yeah, and that is the other thing. You do need to own 10 heroes, and they all need to be over level 4 before you can. So you need to have an account level of 30. You need to own 10 heroes, and of all of the heroes that you have, at least 10 of them need to be over level 4 for you to be able to actually participate in Hero League. So
my personal Tuesday night involved me looking at all my heroes, realizing that I'm a great person, and I've taken it upon myself to gain gold on most heroes in the first place, up to level 5. So I played one game, which finished out at 800 gold quest, putting me at 6,000, and then I was able to purchase Malfurion, Raynor, and Muradin. Not really heroes I wanted, like if I were, to like set them up on the wall and be like, yeah, these are the guys I'm good at, come by and look at them. And like, Raynor, no, please don't see my Raynor. It's awful. But I did it, and now I'm in Hero League, so that worked out for me.
Chat room saying the heroes can be level 1. I could have sworn they had to be level 4.
They had to be untalented, or is that something we've mixed up from the future team league that is an even bigger deal and requires you to be level 40?
Possibly. Well then, if chat rooms believe there's no gate on the level of heroes. But
heroes don't have to be level 4. That explains some things I've seen this week.
Okay, never mind then. I guess I grinded up that Raynor for nothing whatsoever.
All right, well, hey, now you know how to play Raynor, and you got to enjoy his sweet new sound effects, including the classic marine gun, which was most welcome.
I'm stutter stepping all over these battlegrounds. Like
you can't. It's Pavlov dog. You're like, oh, I hear the noise. I got to step.
I love when I'm playing Raynor and I go up against Zagara and Banelings come out. I'm like, yeah, stutter step. It's wonderful.
Split.
Split my one dude. But the point I wanted to bring up is, with all of these barriers to entry, it just seems unnecessarily complicated.
We can say that. But my Heroes League games this past week have been phenomenal. I've loved the drafting system. I've had a great time with the majority of people I played with, even those people who started to throw fits in the chat while we were selecting heroes were quashed down because they picked the hero. Like, if we win or lose, it's on you. It is clear that you made the mistake or choice to pick X hero. And we are all assuming going into the game that you are going to deliver. And that's great. And I love that about the system currently.
Fair enough. I mean, when I finally hit 30, because I didn't think it was going to be that high, so I wasn't pushing for it, because I already hit 40 once, god damn it. So I wasn't that concerned. I got in, and yeah, my games have definitely been pretty good. I've had some bad games, but compared to Quick Match, it's been heaven.
Right, and I think the main thing is that there is that gating that is getting a certain level of skilled people in there in the first place. I don't know if old MMRs are applying at all to it in any way, but it is selecting them. We know what to do, and everyone is competent, I think, is really, when you get down to it, what's made it great.
Yeah, definitely. Now I've had some rough games. I've had some serious I've had some games where the chat devolved into things that were giving me mad flashbacks to the first time I ever played a MOBA. That is, I feel like it got a little more vitriolic with Hero League. I don't know if you've experienced this in your games, but I had 3 games just today, that were just the biggest jerks on the planet. Elite talking the shit out of that chat channel. And of course, they all had the most deaths on the team.
Of course. Well, that's why they have so much time to chat. The rest of us are all alive and very busy.
How dare you not die with me as I charge headlong into the entire other team?
You know, that's why I don't believe in ghosts, because they'd all be pissed about that. No one wants to die alone.
Why didn't you come with me? But yeah, I don't know, because I guess I don't know. When I was reading about them developing Heroes League and the draft mode, they were talking so much about how they modeled their ranking system after Hearthstone, and I get it, and I'm just like, Hearthstone is beautifully simple, and immediately you can understand it. This has a bunch of barriers, and it's just not simple.
It's not the most organic thing currently. I think seeing locked accounts as they go with Uther popping up, telling you what to do, like, is gonna help that experience a lot for new people.
Yeah, fair enough. I wouldn't be surprised if along the way we saw some UI updates that made the progression to, account level 30 and to unlocking heroes mode to be more visual and noticeable and something that everyone's going to want to work towards, as opposed to right now just like, what do I need to do? Like, okay, I have 6 heroes, so I need to get 4 more. Well, I can spend $10 on this hero and I've got this much gold, so do I spend it all on an expensive hero, or do I just buy a bunch of 2,000 guys that I don't even like that much, but it gives me enough heroes to go over? I don't know. It's just weird. Obviously, I'm fine. I have 10 heroes. I finally hit 30. It doesn't affect me anymore. But just from the process of trying to explain this game to someone, I feel like I shouldn't have to try this hard.
Right. I think what the real problem you're struggling with is that there is no StarCraft or Dota level play 5 matches and then we'll place you somewhere on the rank.
That hadn't even entered my mind.
And that's, that's the problem I see, because then we're just all grouped in the bottom and we have to grind up to the top. And that means maybe we take those points a little too personally, and when people are starting to lose or thinking they have, build losses and they didn't draft correctly and the game's already over, then we're falling into that. I haven't seen any of that. I've had a wonderful week.
Gotcha. All right. Well, anyway, moving a little further into all this stuff. So let's talk about the good, because that was about the only complaint I have today. That's it. Other than that, I'm all about Heroes right now, and it's amazing. Let's talk about the draft mode itself. So when you go into Heroes League and you hit find match and you get dropped in, I have not done a full 5-man pre-made Heroes League game yet. So it's either been me by myself or me and like 2 other buddies. I think 3 people is the most I've gone into Hero League with. The system, like the whole UI, like the interface and everything for drafting is great. I love it. It's very simple. It's very pretty.
It's solid. It has a lot of art. It looks flashy when you select certain heroes. There are no bans, as we've talked about in the past, so you just get straight to it. First team picks 1. It's randomly decided which team goes first. Second team picks 2, and then you go till no one has anything left. No repeats on either side.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have a draft chat, so you can talk to just your buddies on your team who are drafting, so you can kind of like so you can be like, I've been playing a lot of Bright Wing because I want to bring my A game. I'm all nervous. I'm going to Heroes League for the first time. I'm like, well, what am I not going to screw up with? I know, keeping people alive with my insta teleporting chameleon butterfly, and that's what I've been doing. So what I do, I'll get in there, I'll be like, hey, I'll play Bright Wing, and everyone's like, cool. I had one game today where the one guy was like, hey, I really want to play some more. I'm like, okay, cool. You got it, buddy. I'll play Arthas. I don't care. And it's good. And you can actually, because of the way it goes, I believe it goes 1 person picks, then 2 people pick, then 2 people pick, then 2 people pick, then 1 person picks. So it's 1,
right.
2, 2, 2, 1. And it swaps teams every time. And what there is at the beginning is a coin flip a la Hearthstone. And whoever gets heads gets to go first. So they get 1 pick first, then it goes to the next team. They get 2, and then 2, 2, 1. Had horrible luck this week. I've gone last almost every single time, which has been interesting. But I've gotten to play who I want to play most of the time.
I've gone last quite a few times. I've always been stuck as support, in which case I've been going Malfurion, which I bought just to get in there. And actually, well, he's just damn easy to play.
Yeah.
If you've played any healer in any game, you're pretty much prepared.
Yeah.
I love his kit, man. God, what a great set of abilities. And then all of his talents are kind of meh. So I can take all the beautiful things like Sentry Drone, and it's wonderful. I've been having a great time as Malfurion.
Awesome.
But I've been forced into the role because I want to win. And it seems like that very last guy is kind of the one that's stuck with the support. And it's rely on him to pick it.
Yeah. No, that being said, I've seen a lot of Uthers picked as like the 2nd or 3rd pick. Everyone wants Uther.
Sure, first pick seem to be things like Tychus.
Yeah, Tychus and Thrall. None of my Heroes League games have not had an Uther in it, either on our team or the opposing team. And Thrall, I think I've only not seen him in one of the Hero League games I played.
I had the pleasure of trashing a Thrall with a Jaina this week.
Good, man. Yeah, if he can't close that distance, he's going to have trouble because the majority of those, I'm already forgetting what the heck it's called. The Frostwolf resilience points are going to come from him landing those basic attacks off of Wind Fury. So if you're keeping him arm's length, there's only so many points you can get off of Chain Lightning and the Spirit Wolves. So
and a crit is like half of his health once you got him chilled up.
Yep. Chat room saying they're seeing Stitches in every game. Stitches is super popular.
Yep. Fine by me.
Muradin is up there too.
Sadly, Abathur is really popular this week, and you know that I love him. But, I guess we're about to get to him, so we'll finish up here.
Yeah. So anyway, I really like draft mode. It's a lot of fun. One thing I didn't figure out until I think 3 games into Heroes League was that you can click on any hero you want in your stable, and it'll show the hero even if you aren't able to pick yet, like in your window. So without even talking to anyone, you can kind of be like, hey, this is who I'm thinking about playing. But the opposing team can't see it, so they can't just pick that hero ahead of you just to lock you out of it.
Right, which is great. And I am aggressive in that chat. Like, the second we get in, I'm like, hey, how's it going, friends? Like who wants to talk? Let's all be buddies before the... And anytime anyone's like, no, don't pick him, like, hey, let's trust him. And maybe it falls on me in the end, but I found that my positive attitude has done wonders.
Yeah. That being said, I really wish that one person who we told not to pick Nova today had listened, because we lost terribly.
Sure. Those happen.
There are certain points where it's just like, dude, please, no. We don't need a third support.
And there is, a certain level. I mean, you've, again, cut off that group of skilled people and put them in their own pool. There are a lot of things that don't work. Sneaky Azmodan is not a thing you should do, which I found out, sadly, because people are aware.
Sneaky Azmodan. That's great.
It's not so different than Sneaky Gazlowe, just a little slower on the Merc camps.
Yeah. Just before we end, you can select draft in custom games now, which we haven't tried yet, but I'm sure we'll get some practice with that very, very soon. And yeah, that's exciting. Right before we get into buffs and nerfs, I do want to make a quick mention that they are adding weekly sales to the store. It actually started with this patch. So they're going to have 3 items per week placed on sale, and I guess it's going to swap out every Monday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific.
Yep.
And
that's my time.
Yeah, and they said the sales are going to take one of 2 forms: 1 hero, 2 hero skins, or 1 hero, 1 skin, 1 mount. Those will be the 2 types of sales they'll have. So, cool, very cool
Bring
stuff.
on, and they put in the flying carpet as well as a lot of other Egyptian things. But the flying carpet can be used by Azmodan, Anubarak, and Zagara, and it is rather hilarious.
Yes, it's really cool. I saw that crazy Thrall skin riding around on one today, and it just looked like really menacing.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
The monkey for Brightwing, not feeling. That's a little creepy.
I hate monkeys. Do you want me to go off on a tirade? Because I can go off on a tirade about how every single Brightwing skin is crap.
I'm sure you can.
I hate them all. I hate them so much.
Really what they need to do is, to every single hero that I find slightly lame, just give them that Zagara Diablo sexy woman treatment.
Yeah, why can't I have like Mutalisk Brightwing or Deathwing Brightwing? Why can't I have that? Why is every single one of them something cute and stupid?
Right, just divide it into pieces and make it a horrible monstrosity.
There you go.
I'm all about
it. Done. Or a Velociraptor with wings, because she already has an incredibly predatory head.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Pterodactyl from Ungo Crater.
There you go. Yeah, getting ideas. I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at. There's not really there are flying creatures in Diablo, but none of them are like super iconic. Kind of just like random harpy things.
Yeah, they move too differently. I like your Mutalisk idea, though.
I really want a Mutalisk Brightwing. I realize it makes no sense for them to be healing, but who cares?
No, and then her face would be at her butt, so it'd get kind of weird.
Well, it doesn't have to be like 1-to-1 Mutalisk Brightwing, but like Zergified Brightwing. They have like Mutalisk wings and a carapace.
Oh, and then the voice modulated put it just like, you're sure good at murder. And you're like, oh my god, Brightwing. There's mercenaries.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Anywho, let's talk about everything that already exists in the game and all the changes that happened to it. We're here to talk about buffs, nerfs, and everything else that happened also with this massive patch. So, Battlegrounds as a whole got some changes.
Yes.
The core was changed. Its damage versus heroes now does 20% more. So the core is going to be lighting you up. So be very careful when you're diving on the core. If you're going to dive on it, make sure your healer is around, and hopefully they're not the ones taking the damage, because that would suck. And also, Abathur's symbiote and Tassadar's plasma shield can once again be cast on the core. Yeah! And towers and town halls, right?
Yes, that's
like
always
all structures. Yeah.
And a poorly clicked wall.
Hey, man. Sometimes,
man.
Sometimes you gotta go on the side.
Tychus is going nuts on that random ass wall mid lane. You want to save it for its sweet sight.
Towers were changed. The amount of time that towers are disabled while regenerating ammo has been increased from 20 to 30 seconds. So you have a little bit more of a window of free time to just whack the hell out of empty towers. They said this was done to align with a previous change in which the rate of tower ammo regenerated was reduced from 1 per 15 seconds. Or sorry, it was reduced to 1 per 15 seconds. As such, towers will now come back online with 2 ammunition.
Which is nice. Makes it a little more scary than, guys, let's just stand around till it fires 1 shot and then we're good for another 15.
Yeah. Still it's still barely anything. If they're like around like 4 shots, I'm like, just dive on the thing. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everyone will be fine. It's okay. Grave Golem got some changes. Its root ability, it's no longer going to pause when it casts root. So root's just going to... What?
It's got places to be.
Yeah, it's going to keep running as root just appears, and it will just keep beating on you as root appears. It can also now be cast on ranged minions, but it will still prefer heroes over minions. So keep that in mind. And its stomp ability, apparently the post-cast delay on stomp has been removed. And it said it now will be cast when there are at least 2 heroic units around the Grave Golem, or at least 3 minions. So,
which is a very big deal for my poor Azmodan ass, because I enjoyed very much on Garden of Terror, and really any map where there was a Grave Golem, just burning through it all by myself, because as long as no one came up, there weren't 2 targets for it to slam with, so it would never interrupt my fine laser.
Yep.
Now, with minions in the mix, it slams and ruins everything.
Yep. Which me, as Arthas, I can still get in there with my range buddies and be fine and safe.
Yeah, but this really aligns with a lot of things that they're doing to speed up the game. And so in this case, it slams, it goes right back to work, dealing even more damage. So in general, Grave Golem got a big damage increase, along with the catapult minions, which for some reason, apparently, in a previous patch, had their damage reduced by half, and we didn't notice. But now that's back on, games are like 16 minutes long.
Yeah, it's nice. There's actually, if you go over to the official Heroes site, there's the Heroes developer John Z, who we've quoted many times on the show because he's always out there talking about the development of Heroes. He got on the forums and talked about so many changes, broke them all down, and yeah, he talked. This is one of the things he talked about. We're gonna be quoting him a little bit throughout our talk here about the different buffs and nerfs and whatnot. But let's move into neutral talent, shall we?
So, yes, let's do this with great celebration.
Okay. All right, so as far as what got nerfed, Bolt of the Storm and Zeratil's Blink can no longer be cast while rooted.
Sweet.
I like that change. I like that.
Yeah, you got someone, you locked him down, kill him.
Yeah, you should be rewarded for landing a root. And also Cloak, its reveal duration, so this is how long it takes someone who is uncloaked to recloak, has been increased from 2 seconds to 3 seconds, which, having played Nova this week, feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, it's slow.
Yeah, for Zeratil and Nova, you feel way more exposed than before. But I like the change because stealthies, man.
I think the biggest change for me is that I'm not recloaked the second I'm back on my horse.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Because it used to be, as long as you're out of range of someone, they may be able to see you, but you're going to mount up and you're going to, run around and look for that perfect angle. Now you're exposed for an extra second of that, not only showing you where you are for that, but kind of the direction you're heading for your next snipe.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about probably my favorite thing changed. This is under the rework section, is Resurgence of the Storm. It's been changed a little bit. It's gone.
It's gone from the game.
Just deleted.
Another reason I think games are lasting like 16 to 20 minutes lately.
Exactly. Yeah. John Z on the subject said that, yes, there were a lot of issues with Resurgence of the Storm. It was originally intended to be a tank option at level 20 that encouraged players to engage. And he says while that idea was successful, it came at a price. Game times stretched longer because of faster resurrections, and players were not rewarded for winning a fight against a Resurgence-equipped team. He said making matters worse was that there were way too many heroes with Resurgence, many of whom we felt it didn't really belong on, such as Li. Thank you. Well, why were they on them in the first place? Anyways, moving on, he said, finally, Resurgence cheapened some other special hero abilities, such as Diablo's Black Soulstone trait, which means he must listen to what you have to say, Kyle.
Good, because I feel a little more special now after I die.
Yeah. Anyway, he also said that in coming updates, we'll be rolling out new talents that will replace the lost Resurgence talent at level 20. So, yeah, if you go through and you look through a lot of the heroes that had Resurgence and you look at their level 20 talents, they've got nothing to replace Resurgence. They just have one less choice at level 20. So Jonesy says that they're working on something.
It's beautiful. It's like removing the blinders. Suddenly I go, I have these talents. They're fabulous. Why didn't I? Because you just took Resurgence every single time, just in case. No matter how confident you were, there's always that chance. Check out the video on the website at A-Move that Kristen put together of us winning that Black Hearts match, where for some reason the cannon did not destroy our main base, left it with 13%, and we charged for fun.
We rallied like champions. Absolute champions. So yeah, go to amove.tv right now and look up Ask Dream Destroyer number 36 and read Kristen's amazing post about why you should never give up, never surrender, complete with video proof of our amazing comeback victory on Blackheart's Bay. My most hated map is now home to one of my fondest win memories from this game.
It was good.
Yeah, it was a good time. Anyways, moving on. Call Down Mule got some changes. The Mule is now smarter than ever. Apparently, Mules now prioritize repairing structures over replenishing ammunition. Because, of course, that's how they should have always frickin' worked.
Unless there's some minerals nearby, and then we know what they're really good for.
They will also now prioritize town halls and towers rather than gates and moonwells, and then walls, which is also good. I love that. They said if two structures with equal priority are in range of the mule's placement, it will begin repairing the one it is dropped closer to. So now you can actually use normal everyday logic for dropping down your mule, as opposed to having to read a diagram some dude drew on Reddit. Thank you, dude on Reddit, but now we don't need those anymore. And they also said that after all structures are in range are healed, a mule will then prioritize based on their need for ammunition. So ammunition is the lowest thing on the tier in terms of importance to a mule, and that is great. That makes me really happy. So, anywho, another thing that was changed was Mercenary Lord has a totally new functionality. Siege and Bruiser Mercenaries now deal 50% increased damage with Mercenary Lord. But here's the thing. The way it works now is that a player with this talent, the Mercenary Lord talent, has to be within proximity of the mercenaries for them to receive that damage bonus. So this means the person with Mercenary Lord doesn't need to be the one to capture the mercs for them to receive that bonus. They just need to be pushing the lane with them. But it also means if they're nowhere near them, it's a wasted talent.
Right, and so a couple of heroes, I keep bringing up Azmodan because that's who I play in this case. You know, I could solo merc camps quite well and then let them go and enjoy the fruits of my labor. Now I got to be with them, and so it's not such a hot pick for me. I'm really curious if out of this change, someone like Anubarak, who has Mercenary Lord, all of a sudden becomes amazing in his push strategy. I haven't seen it yet, but if you have someone else getting the mercs and then him pushing with them, it could be really cool. I mean, it's no longer divided up into health on bruisers and damage on siege giants. Now it's just 50% more damage flat for anyone you're kind of standing in the general range of. You definitely need to be, if not on top of them, within an ability strike of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I kind of like this because I like the flavor of it, that you're a dude kind of bolstering your forces and you're pushing the lane with your cronies.
Sure, like leadership.
I mean, that being said, if I had my option, I prefer the way it used to work.
Right, me too. But I think this is a very good fix for the problem that Blizzard talks about here in this post, but in general, when someone was taking mercenary camp and you had mercenary lord, you'd say, "Oh no, don't! Oh, you ruined it. I could have taken something more useful for our team, and now you've capped that." Right,
and John Z, actually, this is another one of the things that he commented on, and he said that he mentioned that specifically, that it felt, he said, unnatural and, quote, just a little weird to tell people not to capture mercenary camps, which was something I think we kind of commented on in the very early days of talking about Heroes, which was their kind of aggressive desire to get as far away from all the trappings of traditional MOBAs, where everything kind of seems counterintuitive and there's all these kind of hidden rules that go against your natural assumption of ways to play a video game. Like, right, no, don't kill that creep because you have to get the last hit. Oh, you're not a carry. You're not allowed to kill that creep. All of that is gone. It doesn't exist in this game, and it's hard for me to argue with this. As much as I prefer the old way of Mercenary Lord, this definitely kind of, this is consistent with their kind of mission statement for Heroes of the Storm.
It's one of the real reasons why I respect the StarCraft team above other design groups. And it's because they always remove the but statements. And if they can, make things as simple as possible. I mean, they put out new tutorials this week for players who have just gotten in. And one of them is how to capture mercs, playing as Raynor. And Uther goes, just kill the mercs and go over there and stand on the... And then, like, what, the screen, like, and like, but wait, if there's another hero with mercenary, and then, like, it's a 10-minute long video with all the buts and waits, and it's better this way.
Indeed. Indeed it is. Let's talk about hero changes, man, because there's a lot to talk about.
Yes, we got 3 heroes overhauled.
Yeah, and we're not even going to talk about all of them. So I highly recommend to you, if you are playing Heroes of the Storm currently, go to the official site and read the patch notes, because you're going to learn a lot, and it's going to make you a better player as a result. But we're going to hit some of the highlights here. First up is Abathur, which I want to, before we talk about some of the changes, I want to preface it with a quote from John Z. He said, "The talents Abathur has today are the same he had at BlizzCon 2013. So he was due for an update in our new talent philosophy." He said, "You might notice that we're experimenting with talents at level 20 that affect basic abilities instead of heroics, such as Locust Nest and Hive Mind, as well as talents that modify heroic abilities at levels that aren't level 20, such as Volatile Mutation." And this is really interesting. And if you're new to the game, you're not sure why this is special. Heroic modifiers only used to ever happen at level 20. And never before. So this is all new crazy stuff.
Right. Abathur's a special case because his alts change the way he plays so much that adding something like the volatile mutation, it makes a little bit of sense. That being said, he is a very different hero right now than he was before Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's still the same strategy. Like, you're in the back, you're contributing the Locust, but they gave him that extra ultimate to give him the push power. And because of that, because he could now have a summonable presence on the map, they had to take away some power from his symbiote, such as its shielding ability and a little bit of its damage.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves because we haven't even talked about what his new heroic ability is. First of all, big news, Abathur has a second heroic ability.
Oh, wow, yeah.
There's that. It's Evolve Monstrosity, and what it does is it turns an allied minion or locust into a monstrosity for 60 seconds. And this thing is massive, kind of xenomorph-looking Zerg creature. that does significantly more damage than whatever it was that you just morphed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been playing around with this a lot.
I have, and it's darn cool. The thing about it right now, and I think the way we're eventually going to use it, is as a push system while taking care of other people. So the real text of it says, turn an allied minion or locust into a monstrosity for 60 seconds. When the enemy minions near the monstrosity die, so he doesn't have to hit them, there's no last hit, you get 4% health and 4% basic attack damage onto the monstrosity up to 30 times. So you can really augment this guy to hell over the course of a minute. But you kind of need to be helping him out. He's just a dumb AI, lane minion otherwise. He has no special abilities other than 2 sticks to poke with. And then you can put your symbiote on top of him to gain complete control of him. He moves about as fast as Abathur, which is pretty slow. But you can still slither out of lane, maybe help out, take a merc camp or defend an objective. But you're not actually a hero. You still count as a creep. So you're susceptible to any spells that could kill a creep. And you're also not able to stand on a shrine and take it, for example.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's a fascinating ability. I've never seen anything like it in a MOBA. It is so awesome to have. Right now, we just don't really know what to do with it. And by itself, it's not like summoning, 2 siege giants to push a lane.
Well, it's for split pushing. Johnsy said it, and some of my other buddies who aren't you. Yes, I have other friends who play Abathur. I know. Don't believe it.
How do you deal with all these people?
It's for split pushing. That's exactly what it's for. You throw it in a lane where your team currently is not. And it's because it does do significantly more damage, it has way more health, and it can help push a wall.
So your first question listening to that is probably, well, why would I take it when there's this wonderful ability called Ultimate Evolution?
Well, and because it got nerfed into the ground.
Yeah, Ultimate Evolution no longer gives you their heroic ability, their ultimate. You are that hero for 30 seconds, and as far as I've seen, you... Oh, no, that's the level 20 augmentation. Yeah, so you just become a copy with only their basic abilities. I really like this change for the same fact that I don't want a unit that clones things in StarCraft. When picking a team, I want the team to be full of people they want to play, and not because we're going to really hunker down and maximize those numbers and double that ult. That's a little lame. I like the ability to have Abathur in a wide variety of teams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't mentioned Johnsy's comment as to why you can't use heroics anymore on Ultimate Evolution, have we?
Oh, no, we haven't read it yet.
It's talking a lot about Abathur already. I can't remember if we mentioned it or not. Basically, what Johnsy said is that balancing any hero just became a nightmare because of the existence of Ultimate Evolution on Abathur. All of a sudden, every other hero down the pipeline that they're developing for the future of this game, they have to, always in the back of their head, they always have to balance around the fact that there is a chance that there could be 2 of these ultimates used at the same time on the same team.
There are plenty of nightmares you can think of right now. I mean, my goodness, like a Malfurion Silence Burst ultimate combined with 2. Let's just all be silenced for 6 seconds and take 1,200 damage. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
But then think of like what could be down the road. I mean, even someone like ETC's ability to stage dive across the map. I mean, Abathur is supposed to contribute to a team fight. If you clone an ETC, you can stage dive back and defend a base. That shouldn't be happening.
Nope. No, it shouldn't. And John's even brought up, outside of just the balance, they didn't like how it played because the way they were seeing Ultimate Evolution used, he said, quote, it was like being a hero stick. You would wait until you have the heroic ability and use that, and that would be it. He said we wanted the clone to be more modular and tactical, not just being one-and-done heroic bots, which is a good point.
Yeah.
I think the balance thing, I don't know, kind of rang true with me. Like I can totally see how that would be a nightmare. And I don't want to get more boring heroics from future heroes because of the existence of Ultimate Evolution.
Exactly.
I would rather see giant, bombastic, insane heroics down the road. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Abathur at the moment, though, he really does seem weak.
He seems a little underpowered. I don't know if that's because the game speed sets. Actually, I'm kind of wowing myself right now. I think it's because the game speed sped up. That push power, the health of your minions at, your spawn locus at those late numbers, the mercs at the late numbers. What a monstrosity would be when you were above level 20. I mean, maybe that's what we're missing right now. And that's what's really powerful. Taking that down to 16 minutes, he's barely getting to, level 18 before the game's over. You're just not going to contribute as much as over the course of the game, all those locusts, and then the extra ones you spawn, and that new hive ability you use.
Even if that is the case, a hero shouldn't be designed where they are significantly crippled until level 18.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying that by increasing the damage of basically everything, the catapults, the siege giants, things that really end games, they are making the games quicker than they intended, and they did not buff Abathur for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Abathur doesn't seem like he's in a good place at the moment. I think he still needs a lot of tweaking.
He's a beautiful example, though. Like, he's the flying car that doesn't fly. We all look at it and go, ooh. Like, this is what heroes can be, and all the art is great. Like, every talent has its own pretty little picture now. They updated all the skins for him. He has skulls for his skull skin hovering above you. The Pajamathur puts out little train sets. Things are looking good.
Yeah. Oh man, the Pajamathur trains is amazing. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to. I guess we're just gonna have to see. It's just strange. It's a hero that already had so many issues.
It's the one thing really in the patch that I'm saying this is going to be fixed. This is a mistake. Everything else, like maybe Thrall being overpowered, we'll figure it out. He's fine.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know. I don't think Thrall's that bad. I mean, I think he's just really well designed.
You're just not prioritizing him high enough because he's new and shiny.
Yeah, kill the Thrall, man. Kill him. Stun him, polymorph him, kill the Thrall. That's the lesson from this week. Moving on to Falstad, who got some changes. Johnsy said that Falstad had also been on their hit list for a long time and that they wanted to update his talents. But even more pressing were some design problems with his W ability Thunderstorm and his heroic aerial Blitzkrieg. So he now has a new ability called Lightning Rod on W. And what it does is it damages an enemy and deals additional damage over 4 seconds if Falstad remains within the proximity of the target. And Johnsy said that the old Thunderstorm ability had very little gameplay associated with it, and it was very unclear to both Falstad and his opponents what was actually going on. Johnsy said occasionally a bolt of lightning would just shoot out on an apparently random target. He said this new ability, Lightning Rod, keeps the spirit of Thunderstorm while solving many of the clarity issues we were noticing. And oh man, I'm so glad this has been changed because he's absolutely right.
Yeah, well, Kristen's playing the hell out of Falstad, which I'm loving because she's smashing people.
Yeah, she's gotten really good with him really quick.
But that's the thing about him. Like, you would press, what was the old one? The Thunderstorm, and things just sort of happen. Now it really takes advantage of your squirreliness as Falstad, and just like Hammer, just barely keeping people in that range to do maximum damage.
Yeah. So his heroic aerial Blitzkrieg is now gone and has been replaced by a new one called Mighty Gust. And what Mighty Gust does is it pushes enemies away in a gust of wind, slowing them by 60%, which is very significant. Remember, we talked about Earthquake from Thrall is a 70% slow, so this is still very big. And the slow decays over 3 seconds.
So it's not constant. You regain it, you're going to get moving a little bit. On any other hero, I would say, oh no, here comes the new Haymaker. But actually on Falstad, with his ability to fly over targets, I'm fascinated by what this will lead to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you just land in, and that's something, again, Johnsy brought up. He said that they've already seen some very cool combinations of using flight and then immediately doing gust to push enemies into what they call the danger zone, which makes me think of Archer.
Sure, it's a good show. It's back on.
Danger zone. So good changes for Falstad. And one more little quick mention before we move into who got buffs is Li got a pretty big overhaul. Got new talents. A lot of the old talents were revamped. And honestly, I see a Li now and I'm like, okay, let's do this. Although I have heard a lot of complaints from people that her dragon is not doing nearly as much damage as it should be.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of it, though, is she now has a phenomenal level 20 talent called Kung Fu Hustle, where her abilities recharge 3 times as fast when her fast speed is active, which is basically any time in the late game when she's being hit by anything. So it's rather incredible the amount of power she can pump out right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, though, you shouldn't have to wait that long until you're contributing. But anywho, let's talk about buffed heroes. First up, let's talk about Kerrigan, specifically the Ultralisk. And I know exactly why you wanted to talk about this one, Kyle. First off, the Ultralisk can now be retargeted. Before, you would summon your Ultralisk and on a target, and it would just follow that target until the target died or the Ultralisk died, whichever came first. But now you can just tap R and select a new target, and it'll just switch targets. It's great.
Yep, as long as you're alive.
Yeah. Well, yes. But the
well, I mean, wouldn't that be sweet? It makes sense. Like Jaina, I guess they're all mentally linked, aren't they? So we're lucky the Ultralisk doesn't just stand there drooling when Kerrigan dies.
That would make more sense from a lore perspective. Anyway, what is actually better than that is the Torask talent. It's been reworked. The duration and health increases have been removed. It doesn't happen anymore, which you may think, hey, that sounds like this sucks now. But what happens next is very cool. Now what happens is the Ultralisk morphs into an egg when it dies or expires. And if that egg is not killed within a short time, a new Ultralisk just comes out. This effect can only happen once, but you effectively get double Ultralisk for your money.
Yeah, you got 8 seconds to kill this thing. So, and since you can target it, and the targeting actually doesn't have to be heroes, you can kind of A-move it, maybe into a bush or something to hide the egg. This will be real cool to see down the line.
Yeah, it's a cool ability. I've seen some Ultralisks coming at me this week. I haven't seen this talent used in person yet, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised to see it with Kael'thas kind of hovering on the background. I expected some sort of similar Phoenix ability, which isn't, to say that can't happen. This is a direct translation of the ability that was in the StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm campaign.
Yep. That
you could get for a Torask Ultralisk augmentation, which is real cool to see. That 1-to-1 like we were talking about last week with Jaina feeling so frosty.
Yeah. Muradin got some buffs because I don't know why, but he did.
Muradin got buffed because the exploits on him were removed. So he was having some problems with stacking his regen a little too high.
He's still absurd. Anyways.
But yes, he's still great.
His trait, Second Wind, the heal has been increased by 1% to 1.5%. Third Wind, which is a talent for this trait, the heal has been increased from 1.5% to 2%, and the critical heal has been decreased from 5% to 4%, which is fine when you look at the across the board increases. Dwarf Toss, his E ability, the range has been increased from 6 to 8. That is sizable.
Yeah.
And the Dwarf Launch talent, the bonus range and area has been decreased from 75 to 50%. It's not enough. Just like 6 to 8. What a damn.
At first you're like, why? Dwarf Toss is amazing. He gets away. He engages. Why would this get buffed? But then you see that they buffed Haymaker, and it suddenly makes sense. They want you to leap over the targets and punch them backwards.
Yeah, which is okay. I've seen a lot of Haymaker used this week, actually, with this change. Haymaker got its mana cost reduced from 100 to 80. A cast bar has been added during the half-second wind-up to make the cast more apparent, which I'm so happy. I love cast bars.
Sure.
I don't like anything being left up to assumption or guesswork. And then finally, Grand Slam, the talent, now also reduces the mana cost of Haymaker from 80 to 40. So cheap as hell Haymakers.
Yeah, interesting. Muradin, not really health problems once he can get out of a fight. Mana seems to be one of his bigger things. You could really talent into it, but ultimately it doesn't feel like you're going to get the regen by the end of the game you need to sustain your abilities. So this could help. I'm not sure yet. Avatar's just so good.
Yeah, it is really good. That being said, I have had a Muradin dwarf toss over me and Haymaker me back into the team, and I died.
Yeah.
But I've also had Muradins on my team save countless enemies' lives with Haymaker.
Yeah, and
so
I've also seen giant stone juggernaut dwarves walk out of the biggest pile of effects on Earth.
Yep. Yeah, that's a very good point. Oh, Avatar, it's nuts. Tassadar got a small buff. Oracle, it now reveals all cloaked units, including Zagara's creep tumors.
Sweet.
Very cool. Tychus's minigun no longer has a windup. It now instantly attacks. It does rev up. It begins immediately, but it's a slower rate of fire, and over 1.5 seconds, it's gradually speeds up to max speed. Johnsy said that for many players, especially new players, that it was confusing how attempting to attack something, because of the minigun trait, apparently did nothing. So they said that this way, players always get a response that their actions are doing something.
Right, if you're coming in from another game and you just click Tychus for the first time, you start stutter stepping, feeling like Bath is going to be and you don't do any damage to anything.
That's exactly what happened to me. I think in the very early days of this, I think you were in the game with me the first time I tried Tychus. I'm like, oh, this guy sucks. I hate him.
You and I trashed on Tychus for weeks when this game first came out.
Well, how wrong we were. He's one of the strongest heroes in the game.
Yeah. His run and gun dash ability still instantly winds him up to maximum. So you do avoid that, couple of seconds of reaching your peak. But it's not as powerful as it used to be. Still, that jump you do gets you out of so much trouble.
Yeah. Zagara got a bunch of changes, and they're mostly for the better. Creep tumors. Zagara can now see the duration remaining on her creep tumors, which is
nice
great.
Effect, yeah.
The endless creep talent, the creep spread speed increase has been removed. Instead, the creep spread area now has been increased from 25% to 50%. It's a lot of creep. And it also doubles the health of the creep tumors, which is
perfect for Arthas.
Yeah, exactly. Infested drop, the E ability, the bile drop talent now deals 100% bonus damage on impact rather than damaging over time, which I love. I love landing an infested drop just right on someone's head.
Oh, it hurts in a surprising amount, much like Brightwing's area effects.
I really wish it had like a stun or something like in there, even as a really short one, just something that makes it seem more impactful.
I don't want a Hydra wailing on me for any stun amount.
That's a very good point. Make it to be so strong, but anyways. Also, the Corpse Feeder's talent no longer increases roachling duration. And it now decreases the damage that non-heroic units deal to roachlings by 30%. So, hey, roaches found their armor.
Yeah, 30% though. Not quite the amount that Azmodan gets or, other summoners get on some of their summon units.
No, but I mean, you're always getting two at a time, and Azmodan has to summon one at a time.
That's a very good point. I guess for the commitment, you never have to stop moving either.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of that has been taken into account.
And also don't forget that the drop itself does do damage if you target it correctly.
Right, very true. She still has no Merc Lord, so I've always kind of been in a weird place with Zagara. I love her because she's a Zerg queen. I cannot play her. There's something for me, it's just alts. I don't grasp when I should use alts. Other than, Nidus Worm, which is for my convenience only.
Use the Maw Man to just take someone you don't want to fight out of the fight. They got a warrior that's just taking all the damage. Just bloop, warrior's gone for the next few seconds. Don't worry about him. Oh, they've got a healer that you just can't kill. Just take the healer out and deal with everyone else.
Yeah.
I think he'll deal with the healer when he pops back up from his worm elevator.
It's like Stitches for me. Like you miss a hook and everyone's just staring at you and like, whoops.
Yeah, oh, I know, and it's very easy to mess up a Maw, believe me. But
yeah, to get that right in the middle when you think, hey, I'm gonna get the most people and we're gonna take this tribute, and instead, like everyone drops the Gazlowe bombs and the blizzards on it, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, and I don't know with Maw. I like asking the team, like, hey guys, who do you want me to aim for? At least you have a target, and if you hit your target, you're not making them mad. But they also know who to prioritize targeting. That's
an excellent point. I think the first thing I'm doing is thinking of it wrong by thinking of it as a damaging ability, and instead I need to think of it like it's removal.
Yeah, it's more like it helps control a team fight.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of devouring Maw, it got a change as well. The Tyrant Maw talent, the cooldown reduction from this talent is no longer dependent on Zagara killing a hero inside of the Maw. It is now a passive bonus. So anytime Zagara is credited with a hero takedown, unrelated to Devouring Maw, so this is just you participating in a team fight and someone dies near you and get credit, Devouring Maw's cooldown is reduced by 25 seconds.
Ooh.
This is so much better. So much better than it used to be, because it's hard as hell to kill somebody with Maw. Like,
right, well,
if someone's low
this is
enough,
like reaching Nova levels of annoyance and sniping teams.
Yeah, it's really nice. I haven't had a chance to try it. I played almost no Zagara this week, but I'm very excited about it because Zagara is one of my all-time favorite heroes in this game. So anyway, those were the buffs. Let's talk about some of the nerfs. Chen, I'm just happy to see his name in here, period. I don't care. I don't care what the changes were made, but let's find out what they were. Storm, Earth, and Fire, his heroic ability. It now has a 1-second cast time during which the ability can be interrupted. Hell yeah! Christmas comes late! What?
Oh, just Storm, Earth, and Fire. He's Johnsey's got great points here that I would love to listen to.
Yeah, Johnsey said that they've been hearing a lot of feedback about second life bars in this game. He said that for the most part they agree there's a problem with Resurgence, Tychus, and Chen in particular. He said we're attacking each of these problems in different ways, and they'll all be addressed in future patches. I mean, Resurgence has been addressed in this patch. He said we think that having a second life bar is okay for a tanky warrior hero like Chen, so he gets to keep all of Storm, Earth, Fire's functionality. What we didn't think was okay was Storm, Earth, Fire being used primarily as a last-second escape ability when Chen was at a sliver of health at no cost. We are thinking that this change will encourage Storm, Earth, Fire to be used aggressively instead of defensively, as well as provide some opportunity for an enemy response. I think this is a really smart change.
Yeah, so it can be interrupted, though. I honestly have no idea, and maybe the chat can help me out, if that means you lose the use of the ability during that cast time if you get stunned.
I've noticed, well, I mean, with a lot of heroic abilities, if you get interrupted during a channel before it happens, you're not locked out for the whole cooldown. I think you're locked out for like 8 seconds, 9 seconds, something like that.
Gotcha, that would make sense. Because I know Vala, she starts shooting arrows, whatever she's gotten off, you knock her out of it.
Yes, but that's because that's not technically channel. There's no channel. She just hits it and immediately begins the ability, and if you get stunned, you're just screwed. But this is like there's a channel before the ability actually starts.
Gotcha.
And that's the key difference.
They bring up Tychus here. I mean, Tychus is just wildly popular. I love him to pieces because of his second health bar. I think they've done a very good job with him being balanced here. They mentioned they might be changing it in the future. But when he lands as Odin, there's that, power-up time where you can lose the entire health bar and probably don't walk away alive anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have as big of an issue with Tychus's. Because you can, like you said, there's that wind-up point, and you can really burn through pretty much the entire Odin's health pool in that amount of time. At the same point, I've seen plenty of games where it's a full team fight, and Tychus gets just far enough behind his team where it's just absurd. It's like, oh, great, now we have this Odin to deal with the Tychus that we should have killed. So
right, but you could still know that inside there's that barely alive one that you can wail on. So it'll be cool to see if Chen's back up a little bit and then dive back in as the triple threat.
Yeah. Of the second life bars that exist in the game, I think Tychus is the one I have the least amount of issue with. Storm, Earth, Fire is incredibly maddening.
Yeah, but that's just because Chen is very tanky and doesn't deserve to walk away from many of those things.
No, he does. I mean, he has one ability already that makes him nigh invulnerable, and it's as defensive as he should be. I mean, he has so many defensive abilities. He doesn't need another one. That's just a get-out-of-jail-free card. So, anyways, Jaina also received some nerfs. Frostbolt, her Q ability, had the damage reduced from 50 plus 16 damage per level to 45 plus 14 damage per level. I'm not sure why Jaina is being nerfed. As usual, I assume the folks at Blizzard can see numbers that dwarf anything I have experienced in my personal games. But
graphs that would blow your mind.
I do find these changes different. Kona Cold, however, did get buffed. Its damage was increased by 40 plus 13 damage per level to 50 plus 17 damage per level. So Kona Cold's way better than it used to be. which is good because before it did feel a little underpowered. However,
it was your chill applier.
Yeah. However, Water Elemental, the very popular heroic ability, the initial explosion damage has been increased from 50 plus 6 per level to 65 plus 7 per level. But basic attack damage was reduced from 65 plus 6 per level to 50 plus 6 per level. That's very noticeable.
Right, but it doesn't really matter. You're using that to maintain chill and knock people with cloak out of it continually. Stay in people's business, bog them down.
Yeah, I mean, it's still totally, it still serves the same purpose that it always has. It's just a little less awesome.
Yeah, and the explosion's welcome.
Yeah. It's good. Nova, I mean, we already talked about cloak in general. A whole extra second to recloak, so up from 2 to 3. So Nova and Zeratul both got kind of a nerf because of that, but she received more kind of changes. Her basic attack, the anti-armor shells talent, had the damage and attack speed reduced from 300% to 250%. She has a new talent at level 13 called Headshot, and it reduces ability cooldowns by 4 seconds after killing an enemy hero. I actually like that. I like the talent a lot.
Yeah?
It's scary, but I like it.
It's snowball-y, so I have my, eyebrow raised in its direction.
She previously had Rewind. This is okay.
Good point.
Keep that in mind.
Counter, jeez. Got in my place.
Her cloak trait, the advanced cloaking talent, the basic ability cooldown regeneration is gone. It does not exist anymore. You're not getting any basic ability cooldown reduction from it. Nova also now regenerates 2% health per second while cloaked. So, significantly weaker than it used to be, but I'm assuming part of that has to do with the fact that that new talent Headshot exists.
Yeah.
Pinning Shot, the W ability, the Covert Ops talent has been changed around. The mana reduction component is gone. It now increases Pinning Shot's slow amount by 1% for every second Nova is cloaked to a maximum of 50%. This effect expires if Nova is decloaked for more than 1 second.
That's pretty cool.
I like that because, I mean, before you always kind of wanted to open up with Pinning Shot because you could talent into it to where it would increase the damage on your target. And then they also changed Snipe to where you had that 1 second of leeway if you talented into Snipe to do more damage from Cloak, to where you could still open with Pinning Shot and hit and land a Snipe and still reap the benefits of all of your talents.
Yeah.
So I like this. This is just kind of rewarding another synergistic build, which I like.
Well, and it allows these past two, I guess 2 talents ago that we talked about, where, you're reducing all your cooldowns and trying to be very active, killing heroes constantly. This is more of those people who just want to stay in a bush and wait for the good one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Which is like how I like to play Nova. Finally, right. Hollow Decoy, the E ability. Hollow clones no longer have collision, so you can't body block with them.
Good.
They now have movement AI as part of their base functionality, which definitely helps Novas out.
Yeah.
The cast range got increased by 25%. And we got some talent changes. Digital Shrapnel is gone. Digital Shrapnel's 2-second cooldown reduction has been added to the remote delivery talent. And the double fake talent, the AI movement component of this talent has been removed because it is now baseline.
Yeah, and that's scary.
Yeah, well, I like it. I mean, it makes Hollow Decoy way more worth it in the early games, or in the early portion of the game.
Right, and that's when you're going to get, ganked and get behind in the first place and just have a horrible time as Nova. So buffing her a little bit in the early game and, stopping some of those auto talents, which basically that was, at least for new players, double fake was incredible. And against newer players, there was no way they would guess the right one.
Yeah. And then let's talk about a couple more reworked heroes, or heroes. Yeah. So Azmodan, his Global Annihilation got some changes. The cooldown has been increased by 2 seconds from 8 to 10. The scaling damage has been increased from 13 to 15 damage. The Taste for Blood talent, which augments Global Annihilation, has the damage bonus per kill is increased from 1 to 2.
This is one I'm so excited for pro players to get a handle of. Right now, if you kill a lane minion or anything with a Globe of Annihilation, it will increase the overall damage of the spell by 2 for every single kill you get. The most I can get to over the course of the game is 46? And that doesn't seem like enough to warrant the whole talent pick when I could get bribe.
Yeah, no, this is good. It makes you not just go, oh, bribe, insta pick.
Yep. Or healing
then,
ward at level 1 for some reason on him.
Yeah. Then his heroic ability, Demonic Invasion. Demonic grunts now have real health rather than the doubloon chest style health.
Right, so they used to have to take 4 hits from anything, but they had to be 4 separate hits regardless of their damage. And now it's just health. They're more powerful against burst heroes like Jaina, who do a lot of area effect damage and can hit a lot of them at once, while making them a lot less powerful against heroes that, can just lay it on and take care of it. So it's a bit of for me, it's a nerf to his murking abilities, because that's really what I used it for. And a real slow wind up, grave golem hit on one of those, a fourth of his health. Big deal. Now it takes him out.
Yeah, that's a good point. But nothing else in this game works like this except chess, so it makes a lot more sense that they have normal health.
Right, and just for simplicity's sake, and another but statement checked off, it's better this way.
Exactly. And Gazlowe, his Robo-Goblin heroic ability, it's now a passive heroic ability, which means it's always active. Gazlowe is still able to mount after choosing this heroic ability, and the damage bonus has been reduced from 250% to 150%. This is really interesting, and John Z said on the matter that we've been internally floating around the idea of a permanent heroic for a while now. We'd like to explore more heroic options like this in general. In this case specifically, we like the gameplay where Gazlowe is just permanently better and pushing and interacting with the map.
Now that is 150% better against minions, mercenaries, and structures. So you're not Illidan up or anything.
No. You're just become an incredibly strong pusher.
Yeah. So, with that active all the time, I can see why Merklord might be a good choice still on Gazlowe.
I think absolutely. If you go for Robo-Goblin.
Right, exactly.
So
because you'll be active.
Yeah. Omniprom in the chat room says, as a main Gazlowe player, I'm not sure what to think of this.
Gravity Bomb's so good, it seems like a nerf to Robo-Goblin. All of our sites of use have already been changed, so I can't say the old cooldown on it. But you would tear through things at 250% damage. 150 seems a little lackluster.
Yeah, but it's permanent. I don't know.
Right. Over the course of a game that's 16 minutes, though.
Yeah, but it's level 10. It's not level 20 like everything else we've been talking about. That's awesome.
True.
So I don't know. I'll have to see. I don't really play a lot of Gazlowe, and I can't remember last time I even saw Robo-Goblin picked. So
yeah,
I think it's we need to break our minds of what is written in stone. Someone try Robo-Goblin out, please. Let us know, because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it used. Anyways, and finally on to Illidan. His Metamorphosis heroic. The demonic form talent was changed. It no longer removes Illidan's ability to mount, but also no longer provides bonus movement speed when out of combat. So you can just mount up with your demon wings and run around. But you're going to be normal speed on the ground on your feet.
Yeah, you already had to be out of combat. This is more just standardizing your movement speed. It was cool, seeing you fly around. It was a neat feature.
Yeah. So, and also you can't hear his Metamorphosis voiceover globally. It's more of a proximity thing now, which I feel like something's been lost. I like that idea where I wasn't in a fight and I wasn't paying attention. I just heard, "Now I am complete," and it's like, oh man, someone's getting their shit kicked in right now.
Someone somewhere.
Someone's having a bad day. So, anywho,
it's like when the cops drive by and the siren's going, you go, ooh, someone got a rubberneck a little bit.
Someone's in trouble. Yeah, no. Anyway, that more or less wraps up what we wanted to talk about with the changes in this massive patch. Only 1 minute and 39, or 1 hour and 39 minutes later, but hey.
This is hardly all of them. There are a lot of sneaky changes that, aren't nefarious or anything. Just small things. Stitches got changed around with his gorge doing damage differences and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and we're going to be picking up the pieces over the next few weeks. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of things we'll be talking about, but this was just the things we wanted to highlight. Again, go check out the full patch notes on the official Heroes site. And send in your thoughts, itncast@gmail.com. I want to hear what you think of the changes, listeners, so let us know. Speaking of that, let's take some emails right now.
Darkness stopped calling.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
Once again, you can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Frizzy, who writes in and says, while grinding to 40, I found myself spending all my gold on champions I didn't really want, just so when I hit 30, I could play ranked. Do the huge price gaps negatively affect people's decision on what champions will get played in low-ranking games? I feel like high-priced champions will get a lot less love than they deserve because of the huge gold gap between them and their just as good counterparts. He said, for example, Vala is much more played than any other assassin. Is it because she is cheap? To which I say, there's no way you actually know if that's a true statement, sir. Secondly, a lot of us got Vala for free by buying Diablo Reaper of Souls. So
right.
That's part of the reason. She is cheap, so I'm sure that's another reason. She's also easy to play because it kind of naturally makes sense. We'll shoot them with the arrows and run away.
Right. I feel like certainly in draft, I'm seeing a lot more Muradins and Malfurions than I ever saw in, quick match, or what has become quick match now. Could that be because everyone had the same thought I did and they got the 7 that they really saved up for and then went, oh crap, it's out, and bought 3 more? Or is it because we all just kind of in the back of our heads know that those low-priced heroes are incredibly good and they're kind of these baseline standards that Blizzard's given to us, and we're going to use them when we're going for wins?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with the free-to-play rotation, folks are going to get a chance to try a wide variety of heroes as far as prices are concerned. They're going to get to try the 7,000 gold heroes and the 10,000 gold heroes and the 2,000 gold heroes. And I feel like a lot of people are going to make it their mission to save up enough gold to purchase the hero that they really like playing, regardless of price. I know that's how it is for me. When I first got in, I was like, I don't care how much Arthas is. That's my first goal. And then I went on to Zagara and then Brightwing and etc. down my stable of heroes that I like playing. I do agree with your first point, though, Frizzy, because I totally did the same thing this week. I apparently only owned 8 heroes. I thought I had more. But then I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, these are the 8 I really like playing. Everyone else, I can kind of take them or leave them, so I ended up just having to pick up 2 more. Luckily, one of them was Thrall, and it turns out I love him to pieces. But then I just bought Raynor just to fill it out, and I can take or leave Raynor. I don't really like playing him that much.
There may be some horrible day in the future where everything I own is picked. It'd be a horrible game because it would have both a Abathur and an Azmodan in it, as well as all the other wacky things I enjoy.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, but I don't know. I want to like Raynor more, damn it, because I just love hearing Rob Clotworthy just VO all over the place in there, but...
Oh, sure. Well, and he's a acquired taste. I mean, not so much that he's bad, just that it takes a certain amount of finesse. And his main ability, his main damage, most likely is going to save lives if you're not perfectly calculated or have a good feeling of it throughout the course of the game.
I don't use it unless they're definitely going to die from it or if I'm behind them.
Right, exactly, like you're sneaking up behind. Yeah. But if you played him a lot, which people do, and people are getting amazing at the Banshees, it's great having a Raynor on your team.
Yep. No, Banshees are great, man. Banshees are really good. And if you're new, Hyperion's fine. Like it's not bad. Anywho, thanks for your email, Frizzy. It's a really good point. I definitely noticed myself kind of doing the same thing. Like, I just need to grab some heroes fast because I want to play, Hero League. So.
Right, and 10 heroes, man. Like, I get it because we get into those situations and, we have to be able to have the wiggle room for all those heroes should my horrible Azmodan Abathur dream happen. But I can't even say in any MOBA I've ever played, I could point at 10 heroes and say I'm good to go.
That's a really good point. But that's what happens in this system. I've seen people complaining on Twitter and whatnot. It's like, oh, great, more gating in Heroes of the Storm. And it's just like, well, with the business model they've gone with, which is where you have to buy each and every hero you want to play, you have to do it if you're going to have a draft system with no mirror matchups.
Yep.
So, anyways, that being said, with all of again, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of me saying how kind of awkward and weird it is to explain how all of this works to a new player. With all that out of the way, it does all work very well.
Right, and I'm enjoying my gated community. Sure.
You would, you yuppie. Why don't you go down to the Whole Foods and get some almond milk?
I will. I'm going to drive my Volvo station wagon there.
Oh, please don't. I hate being behind you. Send your hate mail if you drive a Volvo to... Anyways, our second and final email today comes to us from Chris, who actually writes in with a crazy game story, which if you listen to The Angry Chicken, you know is a segment over there. And we don't have it over here, but I read it and I enjoyed it, so I thought I'd include it. He says, "Hello, gentlemen. My name is Chris, and I go by Huguenot in game." Well, hello, Chris Huguenot. He said, "I wanted to share this crazy game story." And he actually sent a link to a clip of what he's about to tell us, and it'll be in the show notes if folks want to go watch it. But he says, "Our team got pretty beat up pushing the enemy core in this game, and then the tribute spawned. Our Chen held off their ETC, Nazeebo, and Rhaegar at the tribute for over 30 seconds. He died, but not before killing Nazeebo, at which time both Falstad and I, playing Tyrande, respawned. I immediately shot off 2 sentinels thanks to Rewind, while Falstad flew to the tribute and popped his ult, deleting Rhaegar and almost killing Elite Tauren Chieftain, who was forced to flee the scene. The enemy Murky showed up late to the party and was summarily executed. Needless to say, we got the tribute. Enjoy the clip and feel free to use it as your inaugural piece for your new Crazy Game Story segment."
Oh man, this is a dirty throwdown. Chen just keeps going.
Yeah. My favorite thing in this whole game is just the double quickfire sentinel from from Tyrande. It looks like something out of the Hunger Games.
Yeah. He's highlighted that well, and it just slams. Wow, nice move on the Falstad.
Yep.
Solid crazy.
Yep. Really good story. Thanks for sharing that with us, Chris. Anywho, if you and listeners, if you want to send in game stories, by all means do it. Just keep them short, because we get crazy game stories from time to time on here, and they're all super long and hard to kind of parse into a format that works for the live video show and the audio only audience. So, yeah, just some editing, please. Before we end the show, I also just wanted to give a shout out. We got a really nice email from listener Gory, who is about to go out on a 6-month deployment, and apparently is a huge Thrall fanboy, so he's just having like the best week ever. So thank you, Gory, for the kind words, and have a safe deployment.
Yeah.
So anyways, that will do it for this very, very stacked episode of Into the Nexus. We hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope my long-winded explanations of why Abathur is not as amazing as he used to be, even though I never really thought he was that amazing to begin with, didn't leave you confused.
It was a lot of information to go through. We'll be back to a normal show style next week, unless they do something crazy, which I doubt.
We'll see. Abathur gone.
Or Abathur, the most amazing thing, because we weren't pressing the right buttons.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Anywho, have to thank those of you who are subscribing to Into the Nexus over on patreon.com/ITN. If you enjoy our show and you like what we do, and you enjoy the time and the effort we put into the show, and you want to give a little back, you can go over to patreon.com/ITN, and you can subscribe to the show for $1 a month, for $5 a month, however much you want to give. We really appreciate it. Once a month, we do a game after some after show games with patrons. We fill it out. If there's no patrons, we'll just bring people in from the chat room, but patrons get first pick, and we usually post a VOD over on the Patreon site as well for the patrons. So for those of you who are currently supporting us, we just hit 50 patrons. So thank you guys very much. It's awesome, and we're getting really close to our $500 goal of doing an after show game every single week.
Which, if you've been missing those, I think we've done it the past 2 weeks. They've been incredible. We actually managed to get custom games. We have enough people with the live crowd to just have a throwdown, and it's been awesome.
Yeah,
and some of you listeners out there are crazy badasses. And you brought your A game, and we got smashed.
We finally won our first game against listeners last week.
We did.
It was the first time we've won.
And it was kind of lackluster, because we're like, I feel kind of bad now.
Yeah. So
not too bad, though.
Yeah, it was. No, I was happy as hell. I'm like, yes, we didn't lose, finally. Anyhow, this week I wanted to thank the following patrons. Thank you very much, Chris P. and Schuler. I'm sure I'm butchering that. I apologize. With someone who has a nigh unpronounceable last name, I apologize. But thank you guys very much for supporting the show. Also, if you're a listener of the audio-only podcasts on iTunes, go ahead and leave us a review. I don't have any new reviews to thank this week, but if you are listening via iTunes, drop us a review because it helps the show out a lot, and we'd really appreciate it. As always, Into the Nexus is produced by amove.tv and our patron producer, Declan H. You can see more about this and all of the other AMove shows over at amove.tv. Our email is itncast@gmail.com, and you can catch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yes, chat room, I know I haven't updated the graphics on the Twitch site that say it's at 9 p.m., but I have been saying on the podcast itself that we record at 8 p.m. Eastern for the last 3 months. So there is that. I'll get them updated, damn it. Anyways, check it out live. We're right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV or the mobile stream on alphageekradio.com. Our Twitter is @ITNcast, and you can check out Brian Griffith, the musician who made our wonderful intro and outro music, over at briangriffithmusic.com. However, Kyle, if folks would like to check out you, where could they find you?
You can find me at kyleferguson.com, where I post articles about Dungeons and Dragons. This past week, I talked about one of my favorite cultists I've run in the past and how to introduce rings into your world and loot system. You can also find me on Twitter at Kyle Ferguson and on AMove Radio, which happens from time to time.
Yeah, let's see if we can't crank one out tomorrow. I don't know how available everyone is, but we'll see if we can do it. We'll see. That's how that show goes, because it's about how many listeners it has. It has a we'll see amount of listeners.
Oh.
Anywho, if you want to follow me on the interwebs, I can be found on Twitter at GarrettArt. That's GarrettArt, or over at nomoonart.com, which is my graphic design portfolio. Chat rooms here making fun of me like, Garrett, are you a graphic designer? Why aren't the graphics updated on this Twitch channel to say the proper time that Into the Nexus records? And it's just because I don't have time.
I got other graphics to update.
All of these, yeah, I've got other graphics to update, mainly that belong to other people who are contracting me and have deadlines. That's why. I'm being honest. It happens. Anyways, yeah, check it out. I got some cool work over there. And you can also hear me talk a lot about Hearthstone on the Angry Chicken and talk about whatever I want on AMove Radio with Kyle. And yeah, just go check out all the work we do. It's some fun stuff. We really like our video games here on amove.tv.
Understatement.
Do you like it? Understatement of the century?
Yeah. We put a bit of time into talking about video games here at amove.tv, so I hope you appreciate what we've done.
A little bit, yeah. Anyways, before we leave, please check out our sponsors, doghouse-systems.com and tweakedaudio.com. The code you can use is ITN, and that code will get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. That code will also get you 30% off and free shipping off of your entire order of noise-reducing earbuds from tweakedaudio.com. Every time that code is used, it also supports the show directly. So go out, use those codes. We thank you guys for using them. We thank those sites for supporting us. And we thank you, the listener, for listening. We will see you next week as we grind up the ladder. And until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.